Is it on? Is that on?
That is.
You good to go?
Right, thank you. Welcome, councillors, and to those joining us online. I want to welcome you. Everybody's welcome to this Town Council full meeting for July, the month of July. June, sorry. I am. Yeah. Have we got any apologies?
Councillor Pat Howarth, who is tending to sick puppies that have just whatever the, well, yeah, just been, but I'm sure there's a technical word for it. Just
Yes, I've received apologies from Councillor McNulty, Councillor Chung and Councillor Cornish.
All right. We're right to accept those apologies. Yeah, thank you. Item 3 is declaration of interest.
Can we declare an interest in item 8 for the Cone Youth Action Group? It is non-pecuniary, but we are both trustees of it.
Yeah. Item 4 is minutes. Item 4 is minutes of the meeting. Does anybody have any questions, amendments, issues?
So one tiny typo at the bottom of page 3.
Which date? Which there's 2 sets in the first one, yeah.
Yes, you heroically listed all the committees. Not
Keeps.
bottom of page 3.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, found that one.
In the second minutes, I did say. I said at regulation 15 that we would attract significant weight, but it's limited weight. Sorry about that. I did say it, but I was wrong.
So can I have a proposer and a seconder?
I'll propose.
Item 5 is public forum. I think we have a speaker here. Welcome, Councillor McGladdery. Would you like to, you've got 5 minutes to address the council. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for accepting my request late. I know I was past the 12 o'clock threshold, so thank you to Gina and the Chair for allowing me to speak today. I think it's item 14 on your agenda today. It's just regarding Alton Courts Park, and when I saw it on the agenda, I thought I'd nip in late and try and speak on this. Not sure what the agenda item was, but since it's being discussed today. So I know as Borough Council, it's got nothing to do with me, but residents have been contacting me specifically regards the secret garden, as it's locally known, at the top of Alton Courts Park. I noticed in some of the local, the recent documents regards the neighbourhood plan, it's listed as a non-designated heritage asset under policy CNDP 4.2, named as the Walled Garden at Alton Courts Park. The park has origins dating back to the 1500s that I could find, maybe older, and it's been in the borough, the Old Town Borough Council hands since 1921. So it's been in the ownership of everybody that's come and gone from this room for over 100 years. And today, I want to specifically highlight the impact on those that visit the garden for memorial benches, of which there's quite a few up there. It's a sanctuary for people to go up and contemplate life, remember the loved ones, and recollect fond memories. There's a lot of memorial benches in that garden that those alive today and those that have left us still go up to undertake these activities to have the fond memories and, you know, remember the loved ones. and there's a couple of benches that are close to heart for me. There's a gentleman that was called Frank Taylor and his brother Jack Taylor, whose bench is up in the garden, and his wife Pat and daughter Elizabeth still regularly go up there to visit the garden. And it's not so happy memories these days. It's not a negative statement on the council at all. I don't want to come across like that, but it's in a state of disrepair. And I did have images that I wanted to slide through on my iPad, but I can't get them up at the minute. So sadly, it's not in a suitable state any longer, leaving residents upset at having lost this asset. And to go up there and remember people for that purpose. Memorial benches have been granted and gifted to the public for all to use, but this area is in the dire need of some TLC councillors. So quite simply, I ask that the council works with local groups, volunteers, perhaps commissions paid work, or utilises council labour to reinstate this area with urgency, please. Our generation's legacy must not be to allow 500 years of upkeep in the gardens and 100 years of council ownership and public enjoyment to be resigned to the history books. And yeah, so that's my comment, specifically around the memorial benches. I'm not a green finger, that's for Councillor Mann and the Coburn Prices. I don't know what plants are up there. I know there's a lot of green grass. I'm concerned about the residents' feedback and those specifically that I named. Not being able to utilise that area and the history around it is tremendous. I think we should reinstate it urgently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor McGladdery. Really, it's not a bit, but I've got 3 people. It keeps going off. So really, it's not for debate now, but I know there was a few councillors would like to say a few words. I'll start with Councillor Lord, and then Councillor Clamp, and then Councillor Mann, if they need to, unless Dorothy says everything that they want to say.
I think Kieran's absolutely wrong when he says it's not really anything to do with him. I think it is. It's something to do with every one of us that we live in this town. And it means so much, like you said, to a lot of people. I know I used to take my children up there. The secret garden was never secret. Ever secret. But you know, that's the lovely name that it got. I haven't been up recently, but I intend to go. But I've had a lot of photographs sent to me by one of the residents, and she wanted me to bring it up, and I was going to try and bring it up somewhere here tonight. And I have actually spoken to the chair at length about it, you know, in this last few days. And somebody messaged me the other day and said, or asked if she could have, now you can imagine what I thought this was, a gender reveal in the secret garden. What do I say to this? And then she, before I, sorry, oh, is it not right?
And then she explained it all before I could say, what the heck is that? You know, so it's when they take a balloon, a bit of a gathering, and take a balloon and they pop the balloon and out comes confetti and reveals the baby's gender. So that was happening on Sunday, and there was just 20 people, but I had to say to her, it's a mess up there. It's a real mess. And fortunately, she said, it's just the view that I want, I think, for photographs. I'm not sure. I never got to find out whether it was a boy or a girl, but maybe I should ask her. So it's a big shame. And I think, I mean, there's a fun day planned for Friends of Alkin Courts. Right. Personally, myself, and I'm sure it will be a huge success, I think that money could have been spent on getting a couple of professional gardeners for a couple of weeks to give it a really good bottom. It's no good people going up with a strimmer and taking the heads off the weeds. You know, that's making us look silly. So that's what I think about it. But what a shame it's got to that stage. Yeah.
Councillor Clamp.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can I deal with it in two halves? I'll deal with the benches first, and then I'll deal with the garden. The benches, because of the unsafety of the wall, we had to remove the memorial benches forward. But even on the day that we decided to move them forward, we've actually got the sites where they are going back to and where they are going to be put. For those that understand the secret garden, there is a set of a staircase in the centre of it. Where the gardens were on the front near the path, we're going to put a concrete base in either of those, and the benches off the top, the Taylor bench and one other, will come down onto there. And so all the benches are going to be retained. It's taken a bit of time to get sorted. Because Friends of coinciding with the pandemic, the Friends of Alkincoats, apart from Alicia House and myself and two other gardeners, who did probably 18 months up there, getting all the ivy off the wall and everything, to be told we were doing nothing, and then they walked away, did a lot of work. But unfortunately, we've had to wait for the wall before we can go back. It just so happens that a meeting took place today with Alicia House, myself and Eugene, and we had worked out a plan for the secret garden, not just cutting tops off weeds, a proper plan for their gardening department. And I'm fairly certain, I wasn't there at the end, but I'm fairly certain they've agreed to actually carry out that work. And they do other work within the town on the Millennium Green and things like that. Alicia House itself has changed a great deal. Alicia House used to have 3 or 4 different units, and they've got a gardening unit now, which I'm told is very good. And I've met the man today. He came back after he'd been up there, because for those that know, I teach bowling on a Tuesday afternoon to the other 20 volunteers. So they came back and he was enthusing about what they wanted to do. And my understanding is they do a proper job. The lads that worked for me were very good at the time. These boys are meant to be even more, because gardening is their means of looking for another job. So the gardening is coming, but it's taken us a while to get it going, and the benches are on the way back. And yes, I'd be the first to admit the secret garden's in a bit of a problem, but if I can't resist. If some comedian had to put cement on top of the wall, we might not be in the mess that we're in at the minute. And we've had to deal with the problem of that, unfortunately. There's a beautiful ancient wall there that was lime cement and everything, and somebody put hardcore modern cement on the top. One's moving, the other doesn't allow you to move. What did they expect to happen? But we are working on it, and it is coming towards a conclusion.
That's good news.
Yeah, Councillor Mann.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what people said. I really do appreciate that come with this concern. 3 weeks ago, we were asking whether there was any.
Alice.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I do appreciate that you've come with this concern. About 3 weeks ago, I went up to have a look, and yeah, I was very, very disappointed. A couple of people from Cone in Bloom went also up there, and we were hoping to get some more people from the community and the old Friends of Alkincoats. Unfortunately, only one other person came up there. But we were talking about what sort of jobs would need to be done and getting a plan. And I'm pleased that that's gone ahead today.
It's out of my back pocket here, could have looked at it.
And we're also going to get some cards sorted in order to try and get some more volunteers, and there's going to be a volunteering day. So we do know the problems, and yeah, it's got to be sorted. Thank you.
Sarah.
I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and as you know, I haven't really been involved in Alkincoats apart from the non-designated heritage assets, but I do a lot of gardening, and I have herbaceous borders. And herbaceous borders are quite complicated because, sorry, I'm looking at you, Kieran, they have to deliver colour and interest through the season across 12 months. And what's more complicated about these herbaceous borders, I've got several myself that are like this, is they're designed to be seen from more than one angle. So if you've got a straight line with a walk, that herbaceous border is only meant to be seen from one angle. So everything can be angled towards the viewer. These herbaceous borders are meant to be seen from above, from the side, from the bottom, looking up. They're actually quite complicated. So I wonder whether we could just potentially, I haven't been involved, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, could we use this as an opportunity? Could we use this as a PR opportunity to step back and say, actually, these are really complicated herbaceous borders to design, and they are, and it's not just like, in my own garden, I have plants that are problematic, but they're worth it to me. So I have this intersectional peony. It's worth it to me. It probably wouldn't be a thing for a council to have, apart from which somebody would dig it up and steal it. But I wonder whether we ought to, announce that we are putting this out to a competition, or we are getting a proper garden designer to do a planting scheme for this, then put this garden to bed for the winter, get on top of all the weeds, get on top of everything, and use the winter to get the structures that we can, barring the wall, in place, and use that as the recruiting opportunity for revitalised friends of Alkincoats, because then you can present the plans and make it exciting on social media. And perhaps, I think a lot of volunteering groups there, elderly people who actually, that's different from a lighter house who are like manpower, but they're elderly people. And we could get a younger generation of guerrilla gardeners who want to be part of an exemplar beautiful garden. And actually in Cone, I don't know whether you know, but Open Gate is doing a thing this Saturday showing what you can get out of your terraced house backyard. And they've even got bins from Pendle Council, and they're showing what can be achieved. And I'm hoping to go along to that. I think it'll be really interesting. But most people don't have the opportunity to do 2 large-scale 40-foot long herbaceous borders. It's a wonderful opportunity. And if you're into gardening, you could present that as something really exciting, but most people don't have the space for it. They only have a little bit around their lawns. This is an opportunity for people who would love to garden on a bigger scale to get involved. I think we might be surprised if we really did a campaign on this, how many volunteers we managed to get.
That's the problem.
We have an Alkincoats Park working group. Perhaps you should come to that and, give all what you've said here again and see, because I know they are drawing up plans and they have been working on that at that. So, perhaps we could do something there. Yes.
Thank you. Kieran,
Sorry, Neil, your mic's gone off again. So.
Hello. So, Kieran, you touched on it with me that remembrance is a really strong thing to everybody. If somebody's got a bench, they're very lucky, and people care for them. And so the benches should be kept up to spick and span 7 days a week, all year round. They should be there and honoured. The cemetery is the same. There's some graves that are not tended anymore. I've volunteered to clean them up, but apparently it's not my land and I can't touch them. So we can touch these benches, and we really should, and we should make an effort as soon as possible. I understand the problems that you have, other people don't, and they just see the garden and think the council, it's all the council's fault, but they don't know the story behind it. So we should get the story out, really, and just say we are doing something. I've had photographs, it's the same person as Dorothy. She gets me every time I see her. She shows me a new photo. So we can make an effort. I mean, Alicia House is there and they want to help. So I think we really should do something soon. Even if it's just chopping heads off things, just do something and people know we are doing something, because at this moment in time, well, you know, it's horrendous up there, and it shouldn't be. All right, thank you.
I think the working group is that next week, David. The Alkin Courts working group meeting. Alkin Courts working group meeting. When's that?
Yeah.
Is it? All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's every 3 months. There's 4 a year, and I'm sure the next one's in August. Well, actually, about reusing plants and everything. If anybody's looked at Alkin Courts Pavilion, none of those are new. Every single one of those plants around there is something I recycled out of what Conan Bloom threw away. And if you go and look at that at this moment in time, you'll see what a garden looks like. And as an example of Sarah's herbaceous border, there's a good one and a bad one on Barcross Street, because I'm only halfway across second one, but the first one is a fine example of being able to see it from the back, being able to see it from the front, got the colour from the sides, and she's quite right that an herbaceous border, I've got plants in there that are great to me, and other people may not like them, but the truth is they fill the gap that I need them to fill to give me colour and everything. So.
Have you got a polytunnel?
Me, yeah, I have 1 polytunnel at home and 2 greenhouses, and the particular area of the Philip Wright is at 7,000 plants up this year. So,
Well, David, you're very welcome to come to my garden, you know, at the lifting and dividing stage. You're very welcome. And I'll take some pictures so you can see what it's like, or you can come now and see what it's like now. Because there are definitely things that we could propagate for free, and we, you know, why not? Why wouldn't we?
David.
I'll talk about doing things not for free then, in that you've got a budget of 120,000 for Alkin Coates Park. So I'm just saying, use it, you know, use some of it at least. I'm sure there are plans throughout the year for what to do, but this is the time when, you know, spring, summer, etc. It's the time to do it, and then you've got some left over for Christmas
Autumn
time.
at the back end's the time to do it.
Well, all right. We need some emergency measures then. You can spot the gardener in our household, can't you? It's a green thing there. So yes, I encourage. I mean, we're 20% of the way through the year. You've only spent 10% of your budget, so get some plans, spend it, use it wisely. It's good to do things, you know, economically and share ideas and things, whatever. But there's a pot of money there that the people have paid taxes for, so let's use it for one of our best assets.
Thank you.
Point out.
I know. It might be easy just to switch places.
What places? I don't know. It just goes off. It goes off when anybody else is speaking. But this one stays on. Okay, well,
Can I just mention, just for a bit of, not knowledge, but Sarah and David won't remember when we had greenhouses up at the top of the park. And of course, we had a big team of gardeners, but everything was grown up there. And also the beds in the secret garden were rose beds for many, many, many years. And then I think eventually they had to come out, you know, and it's never been the same since, you know.
I think they got pinched, didn't they?
Well, they were so old, Mary, they wouldn't be any good. They were hundreds of years old. Well, not quite, but they were old, very old roses. But they were nice. Yeah.
Well, I do know that at the last Alkin Courts, there was designs of what the secret garden could be like. And we were looking at that, weren't we, David? Yeah. So.
That's meant to be a secret.
But thank you, Councillor McGladdery, for bringing that. We were. It has been difficult with the wall and everything. But thank you very much anyway. Can we move?
Just for information, the next Alkin Courts working group should be 2 weeks today. It's July.
I thought it was July. Yeah.
And it's in the afternoon. It's on a Tuesday afternoon, and it's usually immediately before FES.
Could I move that we do a post on our social media or a little press release, Gina, in response to the fact that loads of people have had people talking about this, explaining the situation, talking about the wall, saying that we are dealing with it really sensitively and that, you know, these things take time, we want to do the right thing, etc., etc. So people can see that, you know, there is a budget, there is a plan, or there will be a plan, or there might be a plan. Yeah, there's a plan, and, you know, there's a way forward.
I can't say that there is one that has actually been drafted. We were just waiting for the meeting to go with Alicia House today.
I think what I'm meaning is to sort of try and capture people's imagination is one of those colour things that garden designers do. It might be worth having it drawn up professionally to capture people's imagination. This is what it could look like. Get involved on the ground floor of how Alkin Coat's secret garden will look. Because if you just were to do a piece of A4 with, you know, some dahlias here, some geums here, whatever, most people wouldn't really be excited by that. Whereas if you do a series of sort of like artist's impressions, you'll capture people's imagination.
Well, can we discuss this at the Alkin Courts meeting? I don't think we got to artist impressions, but I know there was some drawings. So, but I mean, I think it's not a very big committee, but any councillor can go to that committee. They might not. Is it a Tuesday? Tuesday.
2 weeks.
Same day as FES. Is it the 5th?
5th of July.
5th of July. 2 p.m.
Chairman, you really need to get to grips with the Friends of Alkin Courts working group, the Friends group, not this working group. This working group, members of the public can't attend.
Oh, no.
Because they manage the contracts.
Yeah.
And the contracts are discussed in that meeting, so it can't be open to the public.
No, but I was thinking other councillors who might have some, they can come if they want.
Well, the key to it is to get the Alkin Courts, the Friends of Alkin Courts working group again, and to try and promote that at the event on Sunday.
Yes, but it's yeah. I think there has been some attempts, quite a few attempts, to get the Friends of Alkin Courts up and running previously, but we'll have another go. Okay. No, it didn't work. No. Right. Can we move on, councillors, to item 6?
Sorry, before you go, I'm just thinking, if any of us are up in Alkin Courts on Sunday, could we not, as the councillors, try and, you know, mingle and encourage people to come and sign, you know, would you like to join us? You know, that would be our goal if we're up there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the, you know, the big grassed area between the road that goes up from the car park to the bandstand. All that area is going to be where everything is. So. No, not at the rugby club. No. Are we happy to move on then? Yeah. So item 6, to receive a schedule of payments from the 11th of May to the 14th of June for approval. And that would be 6A. That's a great long. Anything on there that you want to ask about?
And as they've already gone through FES to speed things through a little bit, can I move them?
Well, I think David had a question.
No, I was going to say I'll second that. I mean, I've got no extra queries on this one. I'm pleased to see we did the money to the Cone Gala, which we discussed, and obviously that went ahead. Excellent. So yeah, I'll second the approval of them.
Can I just thank the FES and the council for supporting the Cone Gala. It was excellent, as people that were there saw, it was amazing. Without your help, that would not have happened. Okay, we are self-funding organisation.
My apologies. I know we're a self-funding organisation, and normally we pick a charity, and the money we raise on the gala we give to the charity. But this year, the money raised on the gala will try and go to the next year's gala. Believe it or believe it not, our first meeting of the Cone Gala 2023 is on Thursday. Which takes us a whole year. Thank you.
So we've had a proposer and a seconder. Can we show of hands? Yes? Oh, you're voting, right, thank you. We didn't vote on the minutes. We got the proposer and a seconder, but is everybody in favour of the minutes? Yeah, with those two amendments, yes. We go on to 6B, to receive a summary of budget, spend and commitments as of 14th of June. Any questions? No? Can I have a proposal?
I'll move it, Chair.
Seconder? All those in favour? Thank you. Item 7 is fees and charges, to receive the presented policy and consider the proposed fees and charges for 22-23 year as recommended by the FES. Has anybody any questions? Comments? No? Well then can I
move them, Chairman?
Yeah, right. Can I have a seconder?
Second.
Well, yeah, all those in favour then, thank you. Item 8 is SIAG grant application. No. Yeah. To review the recommendations from the FES committee regarding a grant application for the Cone Youth Action Group. Anybody anything to add other than the recommendation that do you want to?
Can I move the recommendation as set out by FES?
Yeah, has everybody read the report? Yeah. Okay, right. All those in favour? Right, lovely, thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. I'm really, really grateful. We've put a deposit down on a bus, which is Kermit Green. I think that's why we're getting it cheaply, because it's like a cup.
Sorry, can we rescind the money back?
All you get is a name like Snotlob.
We might call it Snot Blob just to get ahead of the trend. But actually, I had a call today from the Lancashire Police Crime Commissioner's office, and they said that they'd been telling Burnley about this scheme of SIAG, and the MP for Burnley wants to come over with David Fishwick potentially and talk about how SIAG could be set up in Padiham. So, you know, isn't that wonderful where Cone leads, other boroughs are following? And I think it will give some nice publicity. And of course, if we have a little thing, we'll obviously invite representatives from Cone Town Council because you're part of it too.
Thank you.
Just realised that would be PIAG, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, item 9, recruitment update. That's Gina for the finance officer.
Yeah, this is just to tell you that we we had offered it to the preferred candidate and they've accepted. I have received 2 references and we have a provisional start date of the 11th of July.
Thank you. Good. Item 10 is rainbow flag. It's Gay Pride 50th anniversary. So we had a business in the town that said, could we mark that? So I thought that was an excellent idea. We do flags for Ukraine and other people. So that's, anybody got anything to speak about this?
Unlike Nelson Town Hall, which only has 1, we're so lucky, we've got 4.
Yeah.
And so we can keep our sort of main national flags on our building and show sort of support across the road. So it's sort of ideal, really.
Yeah. Can I have a seconder for that?
I'll happily second that. We do need, I mean, technically, I think this was Pride Month, but I'm sure it won't matter if the flag goes over into July for a while. But I would suggest once we get it,
I can confirm that we have received it.
All those in favour that we fly this flag when appropriate? Thank you. Item 11 is Gib Hill area. We're looking for a councillor to represent Town Council on the working group. Got any?
Can I move Councillor Wildman, please?
What was that? Council.
Sorry.
I move Councillor Wildman.
Right. Anybody else? No? All those in favour? Well, we haven't got anybody else. Thank you.
If I may, I could give a little update. So our Green Spaces officer has been out and met some local residents and hillside heroes actually on Gib Hill. PBC has appointed 3 councillors to it, and I suppose it's a bit like the neighbourhood plan in that there are councillors on it, but I think people are really welcome. So there's a Nelson resident who's campaigned for Gib Hill for many years called Alison Plackett. Some of you may know of her. So there are people like that. It's brainstorming, but it does seem as if, to my ears, that it's more sort of moving towards Pendle Borough Council running it as a nature reserve, certainly sort of speaking to that's not to sort of preempt the final decision, but that's sort of the sort of mood music I'm getting from Phil Riley, which I think obviously would be excellent, but let's look at the mechanisms, and certainly other local authorities do things in different ways. So there's one in the Ribble Valley that is just run by volunteers. Let's look at the models and choose the best one.
Okay, thank you. Item 12 is Colne Neighbourhood Plan. So
I must apologise again. So I apologised at the beginning for using the wrong word. I should have used limited and not significant. So I'd like to hold my hands up again because, oh no, you haven't even heard this. This has all happened since the last meeting. No. Right, okay. Going backwards in time. You remember that I was particularly keen that we have this thing called the health check. And we didn't have to have the health check. Most people don't have the health check. But we wanted the health check because we wanted to flush out any problems with our plan as it currently stood. I don't think actually Michael Wellett was that keen on the health check either, was he? No, it was just basically really wanted the health check because then it goes to Pendle Council with that kind of seal of approval. And so this chap wrote a really long document which has been shared with the Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee. And we have, as an initial thing, gone through it line by line and made either saying, well, yeah, we note that, and that's a nice to have, but we're not going to do it. Or yes, we will reflect that in different wording in the plan. Or yes, we will make a change here. And we've done that throughout. So that's a document that's been shared with the advisory committee. And certainly Michael Wellock and I have been working on reflecting it within the plan. And the great news is there was nothing in that health check that was worrying. They didn't question our viability. They didn't question our green spaces. It was all on that tweak level. And one of the tweaks that they said, so this is where I'm going to say sorry again, is they said that for every one of the non-designated heritage assets, there should be a justification. Now, I remembered this from 2016, and in those days, there were just 3. So the justifications were this: really, really old, architecturally outstanding, beloved by Coners. So it was really easy. So I read this thing, like, you need to, and I'm looking at Alice because you remember this, we had to do the same thing with the local green spaces, say why at the end. So all the descriptions were to remain the same, pictures to remain the same, and I was just going to write literally one sentence, it's 3, or it's 1 and 3, or whatever. And then I thought, I'll just reread the guidance. This is a moment of horror. I'll just reread the guidance. And of course, it all changed in 2021, where they brought in new guidance, which wasn't 3, but was 19 reasons of justification. So I'm reading this, and then they were saying, oh, go and see all the exemplar councils. Now, what was interesting is all the exemplar councils were all local planning authorities. So it was Reading, it was Dorchester, etc. So I went to the exemplar councils, and I'm going to say this, they weren't as good as ours. And the reason that they weren't as good is because they were really bald descriptions that were just dealing with the architecture. So not saying why, the history of the building, how it was used, why it was used, etc. And all the ones that did have pictures, and not all of them did, just showed one picture from the front. Whereas we've done details of Lord Rodney tile work or whatever. So then I set to giving, and I was really slow. The first 20 took hours because you had to continually cross-reference with the 19. So each one has got a tailored justification, and some of them have 6 reasons in the 19. Some of them have 1 reason in the 19. And here's the apology, because I felt I knew all of them, where they were in a conservation area or not. So I basically winged it and sent it to Gina after all of this work. And then I received, and this is coming into the planning, a phone call from the architect from the little theatre. And he said, yeah, well, obviously because we're in a conservation area. And I thought, oh, are you? I thought you weren't. So today I went through again and found that I've made 9 errors, which David has already reflected. And so I've cross-referenced against all the maps. Some of them were complicated in my defence. So Cliff Street, the houses are not in the conservation area. The gardens are in the conservation area. So it is actually complicated. And some of the ones, the Lidget and Bent's conservation area crosses over the road several times, which I hadn't fully taken into account. So that is all done. So we are having a meeting on the 4th of July, which is a landmark meeting for the Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee, because we're looking at the response to the health check. We're looking at a document that none of us have seen, which is called the Basic Conditions. And the reason that we've not seen it is because it's a technical document written by Michael Wellock that responds to everything else. And it's almost like a covering letter for neighbourhood plans. And it follows a very sort of technical route. And we know what from the health check to reflect in that. And we'll also be looking at the revised actual plan, which we've actually not looked at for months and months and months, because we've been doing the evidence base all this time. So at that meeting, we'll be looking at the plan, looking at the health check response, and looking at the basic conditions. I hope that we can work between now and then so that we can pass those 3 documents on the 4th of July, which means that we can bring all of the documents. I mean, we've passed them all, but you know what I mean? Like a triumphal amount. Perhaps Gina could throw caution to the wind and print it off. And that would be on the 19th of July. Obviously, we're not expecting you to look again at the things that you've already passed. You've already passed, you know, the master plan, the coal report. We're not asking you to look again, but it would be an item on the agenda for the 19th of July. Here it is, we move it on, and then on the 20th of July, hopefully, then it'll goes to Regulation 15, which will be a great day.
Thank you. So do we need to do anything now? We don't need,
Well,
we need to approve anything?
Yes, there's the sorry, thank you. So thank you, Mary. There's the design code, which if you remember, we put all our 2 penneth in, but then Pendle Council said to make it easy to use. So these changes are not reflecting in, oh, it was wrong. It's to make it usable by Pendle, which meant that we had to go and get another grant and then have the work done again. And then that's been done. And so this, you've seen it before, but it's basically changing the colour schemes and everything. And that's what I'd like you to pass tonight. And I've given you what's going to happen next time as well.
So are you going to propose that?
I'll move it.
Any seconder? Alice? Have you got anything to say, councillor?
It's a question the email that came at about 5 o'clock tonight that said tweaked, listed not designated. Is that the final tweak? Is that the final tweaked version?
Yeah, I apologise for that. That is what I was just explaining about the conservation areas. None of the descriptions, just to be clear, you don't have to read the whole thing again. None of the descriptions have changed at all. It's just a statement of what the building is, a church. Is it in a conservation area? I have checked all of that now. I'm not winging it. And then all of the cross references with the 19 points that were in the NPPF in 2021.
Right. So we've had a...
Sorry, no, the reason I was asking was I hadn't had time to even look at it because I've been out this afternoon. I just know there's an email there that I haven't looked at, so I don't need to look at it in pinpoint detail. It's...
No. We've had a proposer and seconder. Can we all vote on that, please? All in favour? Thank you. Item 13 is planning, and we've got some extras. Have we done these?
Yes, it was part of the...
It's just... Let me get the other one, the new one. How many is there? Three new ones. Right. Shall we start with the list? Yes.
So I've got a sort of update on this one, and I think really it would make anything we say, we could note it, but I think it would make anything we say rather redundant, because when these plans came forward, I have to be honest and say I was really, really disappointed, and so was Ash Sutcliffe as well. And Julie Whitaker at Pendle Council asked the architect to call us to explain what had happened. And this is what he said. He said, essentially, when he got the brief, he wanted to do a glass Mies van der Rohe modernist box. And that was what he wanted to do. And I said, well, I would have been pro that. It would have been beautiful and elegant, and you could still read the building behind. And he said, but they wanted, so he said, I changed from that to say, right, what we should do, if we're not going to have that, they didn't want that because of security reasons. If we can't have a Mies van der Rohe glass box, then we should have a super traditional stone-fronted cone building with the aspect ratio of the windows just the same as the mews above, so it looks like it's like part of that building. So I said, oh, I'd have been pro that as well. And he said, the thing is, Sarah, it's planning by committee. So I didn't get a good brief, and they were like, oh, we want to make it a bit modern and also not too modern. And of course, this is what happens. It's neither feast nor, it's neither fish nor fowl. That's what we've got. So he is going back to the committee to say, really, let's do something better. The building deserves it. So we are expecting amended plans. So I don't care actually which way they go, whether they go modern and glass or super traditional, but that just looks like you can see how it came about though, can't you? You can see how that happened, and it was a really short time frame. I don't know whether it's appropriate to say Cone Town Council supports either a modernistic glass approach or a more traditional approach, but we don't want to see render and new PVC windows that don't respect the building. I don't know, I'm putting words, but what other people think. That's what's happened anyway.
Yeah.
I think if we know there are amended plans coming in, I think perhaps our response to this is we know there are amended plans, and we look forward to seeing what they turn out, rather than goodness no. we might get a Pompidou
pyramid. Is that all right then, that we just make that observation, that comment? The next one is 22/0333/FUL. It's land to the west of Garfield, Keithley Road, Colne. It's across from the Hartley Homes, isn't it? It's erection of 2 detached dwellings. Yes, Sarah.
I've called this in if the planning officer is liable to accept it. What we have here is, they're calling it Laneshire Bridge, but it's in Colne. And I think it will lead to the merging of settlements. They're talking about some houses that were 70 metres to the east. Well, 70 metres, it's quite a long way, isn't it? Unless you're, I don't know, Mo Farah or something. So I do feel that that is a concern. I think that they're saying that there's no impact on a listed building because they're so low. But actually, I do think they are, and I'm very, very concerned about the boundary treatments. I don't know whether you've looked at the boundary treatments. It's got like big rock star style gates with balls on top. It's all a bit, and that both the houses are identical to just sort of save, I suppose, architects' fees. I can see what they've done. It's a really expensive justification document because it's in between 3 conservation areas, and I can see that it's quality materials, and I can see why they've got it so low and 2 floors at the back. But I don't think it fits in with the traditional housing of Keithley Road, and I am really concerned about that location. So,
yes, Councillor Thomas.
I'm trying to think of the word to describe it. I think it would look fine in Malibu, or even.
You've never been to Malibu?
No, but I've seen films of houses like this that are in Malibu, but I don't think on Keithley Road there is the place for it. Garfield, and I forget the name of the one next to it, is a sort of Victorian, and they're all very similar along there, of big, mainly stone built. There are 1 or 2 brick built towards the end. Even on the same side as the old hospital, the building, I think it's out of place for where it is, and when you drive along there, it will take a heck of a lot, I think, of trees and shrubbery out there, because it is very difficult as you drive along, because as you know, we drove on there twice in the last couple, and it's difficult to pick out just where the site is, because at the moment it is
Hidden.
It's full of trees, literally down to Ball Grove, and the other nearest houses are, I always get it wrong, is it Spring Grove? I always get the name of it wrong. It doesn't fit in with that. It's a sort of non-fitting in, whatever the correct word. And it's got a flat roof. I don't know whether they know it. Whatever amount of wonderful stuff they put on it to stop it leaking. And I read somewhere in it, it's a wonderful treatment to it. It's a flat roof and it rains a lot around here.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Well, just to strengthen what people have said, there's nothing on either side in that area that's out of place, and this would be, and you'd be setting a precedent anyway, I think. No, it's not the right place.
Thank you. There's some more being built a bit further on, is there not? And those were Bonefield ones, yeah. Right, so have you got what we're saying? We don't think the designs.
I think it should be impact on a listed building, design, and therefore effect on the amenity, influence of an adjacent conservation area, and the merging of settlements.
Merging of settlements. Yep, got that. Okay. Everybody happy with that? Yeah. The next one is 22/0346/FUL. It's Cardtronics. It's a cash zone.
Memory is that there was a cash machine here, but on the other side of the entrance, and I think they've just moved it. I mean, it's brave of them to put a cash machine up there, but it will.
Well, it's an amenity.
It's an amenity, yeah, because
residents, isn't it?
The number of banks can't reduce anymore because there is only, well, it can reduce. It can reduce to none from one.
Alice.
Well, I move that we just accept it, no comment.
Yeah.
For the 3 and 4.
Are you okay with 3 and 4? Start, no comment. At Primmett Cone Academy, it's erection of LCC/2022/0032. It's to be have more room for children because. Any comments? Yes, Dot.
Well, I've nothing to say on this really, except that I should have gone to a site visit this afternoon with the site manager. But at the last minute, he rang me and said he couldn't be there. So I really wanted him there. So I will do that before the cone area.
Yeah.
Or that when it, when it's due to come on the cone area.
Yes, Alice.
I'm just wondering about the cladding. I couldn't get into the portal, but some of you might have noticed the school that is opposite Gibb Hill, and it is blue and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm just hoping that this is not going to be the same and it's toned in to the local environment. But I couldn't see.
Has anybody else looked at it?
Can I just ask, are there any other buildings that, because of the colour, stand out, Alice? Is there anything else from the view of Gibb Hill? Is that the nearest building to it? Yeah.
you've seen that view and the blue school.
Which one's that then, Alice?
I don't know which school it
Is it
is.
called Castercliff?
It's straight across
Could it be?
Pendle
Might be
Vale.
Pendle Vale.
Yeah, yeah.
Pendle Vale.
It spoils the view. Yeah,
But
yeah.
this might be a school in Nelson, but
yeah. It spoils the view. That's what I'm getting at. I don't want this one to be a similar thing. Yeah.
So you're talking about the school?
Yeah.
or Pendle Vale, might be Pendle Vale. I don't know which it is. Yes, Howard.
I think perhaps to get away from that, we can put a comment to it that we ask that the cladding is more sympathetic to the surroundings rather than. I did look at it. I honestly can't remember what it said. The one thing that is problematic, though, I forget how many extra pupils this is. It will cause more traffic problems for the Dent Street and the other streets on there. I did read that the school, when looking at it online, that the school has a wonderful travel to school policy, but I think the proportions that they're looking for of people on bikes, etc., bears no relationship to the number of cars that park on Dent Street. I can't remember all the other names now. So I think perhaps when they're looking at the internal organisation of the grounds, you know, they look at the movement there a bit more.
Right. We don't need to do that now. It's just
midnight on Sunday was the close of the Shared Prosperity Fund, of which Pendle has got 3.6 million for the most unbelievable range of potential projects. I mean, really amazing range. The CPs spent the weekend on this. We did 7 applications. I started to tell you about it, Mary.
You didn't ring me back.
I haven't had time. So we did 7 applications, some of which are just for Cone and some of which are Pendle. But my colleague Ash Sutcliffe, he did one across Pendle on walking buses. And if he gets funding for that, that's something that you can set up whereby parents will drop off to a sensible and safe location, and then the children will walk an extra few hundred yards. So.
Yeah, as the car park, Fishermore's the same, you know, going over that horrible bridge, knocking children down. If they just park there, the kids could walk down.
Chairman, can I just make one other comment? Because this is a county council application, it will only obviously go to Cone area as a consultee anyway. So can I ask that when we send this comment in that we've made, that we also log on to the LCC site and make the comment on there as well? Because LCC didn't get the comment. There's already been one for down at Primmet a few months ago for some temporary portable buildings, and our comment went to Pendle. Pendle didn't send it to LCC. So can I ask that we also, if Gina wants, I'll give her the link for the planning site at LCC so that she can go straight to it and put the comment on there as well. Because it will be a shame for us to discuss it and then they don't get it.
Yeah. The next one is 22/0366. It's a TPO, which is just it's one Bentley. I have, yeah. I'm just not speaking into it. That's the problem. Right. Okay, can you hear me now? Yes. I won't say mother. So yeah, it's a TPO, so are we all right with this? No problem. Yeah. Right, the next one is 22/0306/FUL. This is our Gate Mews.
Blue slate farm.
Oh, I haven't got that on there. Must be an earlier edition. All right, right. Mr. and Miss, it's 22/0385/HHO. It's Blue Slate Farm, Smithy Lane, Colne, proposed family annex building. Anybody got any issues?
I think it's rather handsome. It's quite a lavish application and lots of thoughts gone into it. So, I mean, I only looked at it a couple of days ago, or when it came in, Monday. It actually is quite a low profile thing. The bit that you can see with the glass is just the bit that faces the garden.
I have some reservations about this. To say it's an annex to the building is I think stretching the point a bit. It's some distance away from the existing building there. I cannot remember where the green belt goes round there as to whether that is in it or not. It is in. So I would wonder whether this, with the size and alterations that have been done to the building already, this goes over the, I think it's 50% the limit that you're allowed. Yeah, it's a fine looking building, but I think calling it an annex, I think you're always second guessing looking at this sort of thing. Are they going to come back shortly and say, oh, we want a granny flat, or we want this, or because there is a lot of land around there, and is it going to be development by stealth, a bit here and a bit there? But I just wonder, with it being in the green belt and being a long way or a fair distance from the house, whether to call it an annex, as I say, is just because it says garage as well. Well, I would not be in favour of it. I'd say it's just too much within the air. The settlement's the wrong word. The farm and what have, well, it's not a farm.
What
anymore,
you say
is
it's
it?
too large.
Well, I think if you take this and the other developments that have happened there, I think it would make the extensions to the buildings more than the 50%. I just would I think we should make that point to Pendle too.
Do they need to check?
Because they can do the measurements much easier than we can. And I just think, an annex is usually next door to a thing rather than several yards away or meters.
So are we all right to say that we are concerned that it's more than an annex, and it's to check the sizes that can be built in the green belt on? Is that the thing? What to say?
Yeah.
Yes, David.
Chairman, I don't think this is anything other than it's in Greenbelt, and it's quite a way into Greenbelt, because Greenbelt, for those who don't know, actually starts where Alkin Courts Park finishes. So it's quite a way into the Greenbelt. And it used to be a farmhouse and barn, etc. Like a lot of them started off like that. And the barn got converted into a dwelling. the house got extended, and this is actually nothing more than a house in the green belt that, if you count the land as being their garden, is building another additional property in the garden, and I can't see the difference, and I don't think that would be allowed in Greenbelt. So I have my reservations with it, because what we don't want is for all that bottom of Smithy Lane to become another village, and it would do if you're not careful.
A hamlet.
Well, yeah.
So we're concerned about the size and the and about encroaching on the, you know, too big for the green belt. Yeah. Okay. The next one I've got is 22/0306/FUL, which is Ardgate Mews, and I've had an email from Councillor McGladdery about that, saying have we been have we seen it before, because it goes back to, is it 2018 or 2015, I think, in the first place. Kieran. Yeah, yeah. And what had we said at the last? So how has been and got them all out, the things that we said before?
The original permission for the building was, about 20 years ago. I think it was 2002 or 3.
5, I think.
5. Well, it was some time ago. 2018, there was a request to remove the condition that said the windows had to be wooden, which was granted, but because they are flats, apparently they have to apply for permission to change the windows. Hence, I think this planning application now, having waded through the pictures that the architects and whatever have put on, I honestly don't think you would notice the difference, because they're painted white now. I couldn't find it again at tea time when I was looking, but in some document they put up, there was a photograph of the building as now, and they look white. They were white painted windows. There is an argument that it's near the conservation area and the Grade 1 listed church, but it's also next door to Church Meadows, which is not, they're not the most beautiful buildings in Pendle by any stretch of the imagination, and in fact it's at quite a lower level to the church and associated buildings. So really, as much as we may not like plastic windows or UPVC windows, the examples they've shown on the submitted design statements and everything do not look
Are they casement sash windows?
and they are sash windows, yeah. So I think unless you go up to it and tap it, you wouldn't notice. It's nothing as a phrase that someone once used on me. It's nothing that a blind man on a galloping horse would notice.
Do we want to say that that we would expect them to be sash casement windows? That we wouldn't.
That is what the plan. Well, that one doesn't show it very well, but it shows it in the pretty pictures they put in.
And anybody any alternative views?
There's you probably can't see that, but that shows the sash window.
I think if we've already granted it, I didn't know that on a variation, there's absolutely nothing we can do in any case. I did check, it's not in the conservation. I was in my checking mode. It's not in the conservation area. I don't think that we could say anything at all. I think we're best to leave it alone.
In fact, I've just found the picture on the back of the thing here. As I say, unless you actually got up to it, I don't think you'd notice.
Right, okay, no comment then, yeah. The next one is 22/0398/FUL, saying Gobain Building Distribution. It's on Whitewalls Industrial Estate, recladding and roofing of the building. So it's in an industrial area, that's.
Yeah.
Okay, no comment.
No comment, yeah.
All right, okay. There. I've got one other, but I don't know whether it's Parked Edge Farm, Skipton Old Road, Cole. Is it Lancashire Bridge? All right, no, so okay. All right. Right. Next item is correspondence received. Well, you might have a letter from a Mr. Well, it doesn't say. It's about the park, isn't it?
Can I say there are ways of addressing things to gain a hearing and some sympathy, and he lost that in his first paragraph when I read it.
Yeah. Well, it's complaining about. It's not unique clean, is it? Now it's yes, David.
What I was just said is correct. If you read the first paragraph, he had me bamboozled, never mind anybody else. He claims that we have changed the contractor. Can I put people's minds at rest? We have not changed our contractor since we took on this contract. It's a 3-year contract with a 2 years extension if the work's up to scratch. And the same company are doing it. What has happened is the man who sits on the tractor cutting the grass is different, and the contractor has changed his vans. And that's why it looks slightly different, but it is still the same contractor. And can I move with send this to the working group, because we are already discussing the alterations to the contract, and seems a good basis to start from.
Okay with that? Yeah. Right, we'll send it to the next. We'll send it to Alkin Court's working group.
I think given he's so cross, I think we should just say that we're doing that to him.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we can say it's going to.
And can I also say that he was invited to the meeting tonight, but unfortunately he was unable to attend, but he has been invited. Having said that, Chairman, can I just bring one other item to the attention? And you could say it's a matter of correspondence. It is, because it's some correspondence that Gina sent me in an email. And I'd just like to, under correspondence, for Gina to update all members of the council as to exactly where we are with the van purchase, because as far as I'm aware, we signed the purchase order yesterday and it will have been ordered by now.
Yes, Neil.
No, it's not on the van, I'm on the subject.
All right. So is this another
Yes.
correspondence received item? Okay.
Yes, I will confirm that the order has gone in, and we have paid a deposit. We're currently waiting for the VAT registration to go through, which we should receive notification of in the next couple of weeks. So meanwhile, the purchase, they're getting everything ready in the background. So yeah.
Neil, and then Dot.
Okay. Can I, through you, Chair, can I just ask Nathan, as the police contacted you, reference incidents on Saturday evening?
They have put in a request for some CCTV, yeah, for Saturday evening.
Well, Saturday, Sunday morning, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to inform the council I had a correspondence myself. There were 3 young lads on the top of Tesco roof firing a BB gun. I have pictures of the injuries that was caused to one gentleman. It was half an inch away from his eye. So from the top of the building across the road to Blockbusters, that's where they hit him. So, you know, nobody's that good a shot, but could have blinded him. Also, later on, about 15 minutes later on, I have a log number and a police number and everything. A young man was walking down the road with his wife, and these children ran behind him and shot him 3 times in the back of the head. Now, these BB guns are classed as a firearm because you're not able to determine what sort of gun they are until it's too late. So I just want to bring to the attention of this council that the children or the only young people are climbing up on the roofs. We had this before, but now he's got a BB gun involved. And there were couples hiding in doorways, they couldn't move until a traffic policeman came off and off they went. But I just want to inform you that there is children running around with a BB gun, shooting people indiscriminately.
What time was this?
The first incident started at 2:15 in the morning, and the second incident was 2:30, where they followed him down past this road here, and they shot him 3 times in the back of the head from about 7 meters. I mean, it was point blank there. It couldn't really miss. He did chase them off, but you know. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Well, I wasn't going to obviously talk about that, but through Neil's correspondence on the list, if you see fire or holding BB gun, that you can end up with the firearms team coming out and arresting you or bringing you down to the ground. It's that serious. Yeah. So, right, my correspondence is that I corresponded with you yesterday, I think, about the bus shelters. I asked Nathan if he get me a list of the bus shelters that we own now. I travel from, I'm referring to the 2 bus stops outside the unit and across from the unit, and the bench next to the one across from the unit, which are just terrible, absolutely shocking. It's just awful. And so I travelled on Saturday from Colne to Skipton, sorry, or almost a bit, all through the little villages. Then I got on the bus at Skipton and went to Keighley. And there again, went through Sutton and places like that. I did not see one single bus stop, because you stop in a bus stop, so I look at them like ours. They're absolutely pristine everywhere, except for here. And they're a disgrace. And the one outside the unit, and obviously in August, we'll have thousands of people there. But all through the year, people are in and out of the unit, thousands and thousands of people. And they see that bus stop with the 2 panels out, with the advertising thing that's slipped down, the other one on the other side. Obviously rain's got in and it's all crinkled, and the bench is rotten and it's got a big hole in it. And I was up at that bus stop yesterday, and a guy that I know well came across, talked to me, and then he said, when are they going to do something about this bus stop and this bench? Now, who's checking these bus stops and benches? Who's going around looking at them? Who's checking them? I'm asking the question. Yeah.
Probably the people that own them, not ours.
Well, the list I was sent listed those 2. And Eugene sent me the list, and there were 9 altogether.
The one outside the unit is not ours. The stone one across the road is.
Right, the bench must be.
That's across the road. Yeah, it must be.
Okay.
Must be.
So the one outside the unit, can you find out from me who actually owns that, Gina? Just, you know. unless you're-
It is actually owned by what was formerly known as Prime Site and is now Global. I do have a contact.
Right.
Well, I've got an address that I can send pictures to if, yeah.
Right, so the bench has been like that for quite a while. It's got a hole in it. The two slats are loose for a start. It's a big solid bench. And then it's got a big hole in it. And then on the back, there's like that much missing out of it. You know, what do people think when they come to Colne? And it really stood out when I'd seen all them bus stops that were just wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing wrong with any of them. Then you come here and that's what it's like.
Is it the county council that has the contract that's given this company the contract? Who is it then? The county council? I know they've.
Well, we've sent the details. I'll get in touch with them and I'll find out what's going on.
They were Pendle's shelters originally. When they got transferred to us, but then the county council took back all the shelters on the main line through, I forgot what they call it, the quality bus route, which is why the ones outside the library are the new shelters. The one at the outside, not outside the Queen's, but outside of what was the public toilets. And so it should have gone, because the one outside at the top, but it's not, yeah, the one near Farm Foods is in a poor state as well.
The other thing is, every bus stop's different. We don't have a uniformed load of bus shelters like we do everywhere else. Every one of ours is different on the main road anyway.
Well, are you saying the Lancashire County Council then?
Lancashire County Council said, can we have all the bus shelters, said that the quality bus route, so that if the theory being, if you got on a bus in Accrington or somewhere, and you came all the way through, there were all those stainless steel bus stops. The only exception to that were the ones that were owned by Prime Site that are now owned by Global or whatever they call themselves, and the two
stone ones.
The two stone ones that
we still
the county wouldn't touch with the proverbial barge pole. So all the others should be the same, and then anything off the main line are ours.
Sarah?
Last week I had a complaint from a resident about 2 bus shelters. One was ours, Eugene has confirmed it, and one belongs to LCC. May I suggest a potential solution here, that we ask our lensmen to go and do, irrespective of whether we own them or not, all the bus shelters in Colne. And there's a really simple app that's called Love Creek Clean Streets, where you can report bus shelters and say exactly what's wrong with them and upload photos. And there's the Report It app, which works just as well on the LCC website. And then I think what we should do is collate our response. So say our lensmen go and they find 9 bus shelters that don't belong to us, that do need attention. I think our residents want us to do this. And we report them all individually, but then I think we write a sort of firm letter from Eugene, from Gina, to say, we have taken this upon ourselves to do this because obviously the residents, even we're a bit confused who owns what, and we want to see all of our bus shelters at a really high standard. Then we're taking control of the situation, not just our bus shelters, but making sure that LCC are held to account.
Yes.
Can I just, I've got the email that Eugene sent me, PDF, which it says Colne Town Council bus shelter location. And there's the Albert Road one near the Queen's. What was the Queen's? I mean, it could be that Regent Street, Keighley Road, you on there, Byron Road, Gertrude Avenue, Barrowford Road, Albert Road outside Bank House.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
But anyway, we've got quite a few. The ones that I'm concerned about aren't on this list. So that would be very helpful. I've seen that app. Yeah, that would be very helpful.
Alice? Yes, I was going to bring this up as an item for the next meeting because I've had a number of complaints too. Spoke to Eugene, and apparently there is a list of all the buses, bus stops and benches that we own. And I was asking, have we got a works schedule for them? And he was going to get back to me about that. So perhaps you can go on to the next agenda and then we'd have that information.
Yeah, and I think we still need to sort out the other ones that are the LCC and tell them that the ones that need repairing or replacing. Yeah.
Yes, Jennifer. Pendle, so they could transfer them to LCC, took either 9 or 11 back offers. It was one or the other, and I can't remember which it was.
Right, thank you. Can I just mention one other thing? I'd only just under correspondence. I've had an email from Heather Greaves and said that Tony Greaves, the plaques have gone. You know, the things that were put there for his memorial, they've disappeared. So, yeah.
So this is really disappointing. Whoever has taken these has really set about them, presumably in the dead of night with power tools. Those of you that were there saw that they were metal, sturdy. I mean, they have gone. They were there on Thursday, 2 weeks ago, and they were gone by Saturday. That footpath is really regularly used. I genuinely think somebody must have done it at night. So we discussed it within the council. There was a reject plaque that Heather Greaves didn't like that much, but we thought it might be worth exploring, putting that one up there, and I probably shouldn't say anymore, trying to catch whoever is doing this.
And that would upset me. But, you know, I've seen an email from Heather this afternoon. She's going to have a meeting with.
I mean, it's been reported to the police, you know, honestly.
Well, if that was put up again, it's incredible what things upset you when you've lost somebody, that somebody will do something that they think is okay, and it's not. It's not. So I don't know how.
This is not casual.
It's not kids, is it?
It's not kids.
It's probably the same lot that pinched the aluminium signs off the motorway. They just the big motorway. If you look don't look too carefully, but a lot of them are in sections, and there's quite a few sections. You've just got to sort of replace it and keep an eye on it.
Are we okay with the correspondence received now? All right, finished that, yeah. Yeah, items for a future month's agenda. Well, we've got enough stuff there. Date and time of next meeting is the 19th of July at 7 p.m. And we've got members, we've got a private item.